Hey everyone, Superphiz back here with my friends Remy Roy and Colfax. Hey guys.
Hi there.
So a couple days ago, was it 2 days ago?
I think it was 2 days, yeah.
Okay. Remy and I and Colfax popped in for a while. We recorded a walkthrough of Kintsugi setup all the way up to adding MetaMask and getting coins from the faucet. But what we didn't do was launch a validator. And in the time since then, we've had time to poke around with it. I set up my own validator on the system we were using then. And Remy went a step further and documented the instructions very clearly how to set up a validator on Kintsugi. So what I did was I just went ahead and set up a new box. I'm funny. A lot of people use virtual machines and virtual machines are fine. I think I'm actually running this in a virtual machine. Running my desktop on a virtual machine, but I like running this stuff on hardware. So it's actually running on a NUC on the other side of my office. I have a little like Intel NUC farm.
How many of those NUCs do you
have? Man, 4. I love them. So I've actually been meaning to talk about this more, but like virtualization is fine. But sometimes I just want to run something on hardware. And like, I don't know, it's just who I am. So anytime I run a testnet, I generally run it on live hardware. And then I like tend to leave it for a couple months until I have to repurpose the hardware.
That's totally fine.
I have the same. I'm up to 3 NUCs on my farm over here. So
yeah, you can't have too many. Like they're just a valuable piece of kit. Right. Okay, so that tells you where we are. I just went ahead and again on this account added. So what I found out, if you go to kintsugi.themerge.dev, you can just click add network to MetaMask, and it will. I've already done it, so let me do it again. It will just automatically add that. It's much easier than the instructions. Then I went to the testnet faucet.kintsugi.themerge.dev. I requested some testnet ETH, and now I have 50 in there. On this system, from the last video we did, we have Geth running as a service and Lighthouse running as a service, and they are running. It's a completely new testnet for Kintsugi. So many people will be familiar with historical testnets where we maybe use Girly ETH, and we have testnets called things like Prater and Piermont, and even before that, things like Madasha. But Kintsugi is a merge testnet. It's brand new. The chain starts from 0. So for this testnet, we're not using any of the old chain stuff. It's all brand new Kintsugi chain stuff. And I heard Kintsugi is supposed to run until February. Did anybody hear that?
I don't have any specific on this.
Yeah, so there's actually ETH Cat Herders did a podcast with Paratosh and Marius today, I think, and there's supposed to be a lot of great information. That's where we found out that Bellatrix is going to be the name for the hard fork that brings the merge. I haven't actually heard it. I just saw some notes about it, but I plan to listen to that when I exercise today. So I'm rambling.
Do you want to go back to the guide and then
yeah, let's do it. So I want to point out this is Remy Roy's EthStaker guide. And if you look, we're about halfway through because in the last video, we did all of this setup. And so now we've already installed Kintsugi on MetaMask, and we already have testnet tokens. And so we're here adding a validator. And I'm going to let you talk while I copy paste.
All right, so the first 2 new tools that we're going to be installing are F2Val tools and Ethereal or Ethereal. And then, so installing those is quite simple if you already have Go installed, which you should, if you followed the instructions that were already provided. Installing this second tool here, Ethereal, can take a while. So maybe we'll have to fill up the time here. But
yeah, I'd like to point out these 2 people. Proto Lambda, who we know as Proto, has been wildly valuable in kind of being like a Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades kind of guy for solving every problem in the world related to Ethereum or ETH dev. So thank you to him. And also, this is Will Tech and or We All Tech. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I know him as JGM or Jim McDonald. He develops Ethereal and also the ETHDo tool for key management. He is probably like the preeminent knowledgeable person about key management in Ethereum. So just really, really superstar guys, and it's exciting to use their tools.
Yeah, props to Jim. He's been in this for quite a while. I remember reading a bunch of his posts from like 2 years ago almost.
Yeah, they're just super guys. And I know Proto mostly through Buddha, but I've talked with Jim quite a bit more, and they're just really, I go on the social layer almost as much as the technical layer, but I enjoy both of their social contributions, and obviously their tech is superstar. So
yep,
thanks to them. So we're running dependencies.
Yeah, so like I said, this tool takes a little while to install, so we'll just have to wait here.
So the Go Nat, do you know what PNP is?
I have no clue.
Me either. So obviously it's some kind of networking tool. No idea what it does, but
I'm not even sure at this step it's like compiling anything, or like I don't know exactly what it's doing.
Yeah. So it's worth pointing out we are running this stack on Geth and Lighthouse. We do always talk about client diversity, and I think it would be great to see other people, maybe even us, create more of these videos that include less dominant stacks. It's just a great way to get your feet wet. And you'll notice, I don't know if you have us adding graffiti, I haven't looked down here, but if you watch the chain, let's see, the Explorer, you'll see that that the validators use graffiti. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing here. I just want a validator. I'm clicking around blind. What I want is the list of last blocks.
Let me try to help you there.
Maybe it's here. And if I really, what I want to see is graffiti. What you'll see if I ever figure out where I'm going, this is easy on my own.
If you click on
wait,
you got it?
But it should be here.
If you click on the top menu, there should be like blocks, right? And then maybe it's because you're too narrow. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. It took me forever to get there. You'll see that the block proposer combination is here in the graffiti. And so obscure combinations are very valuable, because what the developers are going to be looking for is some kind of fault or some kind of issue. And they're going to say, aha, every time we have a block proposal from X and Y, something goes wrong. And that gives them the opportunity to work backwards. And so if we're looking at 4 ETH2 clients and 3 ETH1 clients, we talked about this the other day, there are 12 possible combinations for block proposals. And what we want to do is just give all of them a test.
Yeah, and I believe those graffiti are created by the main guys behind the Kintsugi testnet. Like I guess they are running a bunch of validators to see if it works.
I want to see if my other, well, there are 70,000 validators right now. So the likelihood of proposing a block pretty early is low. Yeah. So I have not yet proposed a block. But when it does, mine will say Lighthouse, Geth, Superphiz. And another interesting thing is it might be wise to stick with this generic naming scheme, because this is not a place where we're having fun. This is a place where we're documenting we're documenting use of the clients. And
Yep.
what someone's going to do is scrape all of this and then group by each of these combinations. And even for me, it's fun to like add my own graffiti in, but it's probably more appropriate to just stick with the default.
Something fun to add, since I was not at my machine last time we met, I actually haven't set up from the beginning yet. So while you guys are doing this validator setup, I'm going to independently follow Remy's guide from the start and see if I can catch up to you guys by the end. We'll see.
Oh,
Maybe
definitely.
you will.
Yeah, we squeeze this into 2 hours, but you can really do it in about 15 minutes.
We'll see. Maybe,
Well-
maybe you can. I don't know about me.
Yeah, well, I mean, Remy's copy paste is just, it's awesome. After going through it the first time, last time, this morning, I zipped through it in no time. The longest thing, it took Lighthouse a minute to build, but that was it.
Nice.
And I tried
All
to
right, cool.
write those instructions to be as reliable as possible. There's a few pitfalls, but I try to avoid them as much as I can.
That's awesome. Yeah, it looks really great. So excited to be firsthand.
I would really like to, and maybe you would prefer that I do a pull request to put these videos as a link at the top for people who walk into it. I think it's
believe
helpful for
I
them to see.
added your the initial video at the top.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, great, thanks.
I see it there now, actually. Yeah.
Ah, beautiful. Oh, great. All right. Perfect. Thank you. Wow. It's, yeah, we're still going.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and pause this so we're not burning time. All right, it is like 2 hours later. I don't know, there's a clock up there. It actually took a lot longer than I expected, but we got Ethereum down and installed. And so am I gonna do what I always do and test that? Oh, I have to export the path first anyway.
You want to check out the versions installed?
Yep. Ethereum 2.6 and I guess everything just uses the syntax now.
Yeah, I don't think
not-
there's even a version prompt for the.
Oh, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Got it. It exists. We got an error, so we're good. And so now we're going to generate 2 mnemonics, and these are exactly the same, aren't they?
Yep.
And I'm going to do the same thing again, and then I'm going to copy all that. Echo is actually part of my mnemonic.
It is.
How confusing is that? All right. So I've got that done. And let's see. We need the MetaMask
So
private
then,
key.
yep, the next part is going to get your MetaMask wallet address and your private key. And so that is the private key part of it. I don't know if you've copied your address as well.
I can get that.
So that part is pretty easy.
And
once
obviously,
you're-
I have to say this every time we show any private key or any seed phrase. Do not ever, ever, ever share this information with anyone under any circumstance. The only thing you might share is your wallet address, but giving anyone this information will give complete control over everything that you're doing. If you're this far, you already know that, but I still feel compelled to say it.
Yep. And we're on a testnet, right? So we're just testing stuff out.
Yeah.
But never share those values.
And so really what someone could do now, and I don't encourage you to do it. I don't care if you do it or not. This is just for fun. You could actually take my validator index, I'm sorry, my seed phrase, and you could use that in a validator, and you could potentially cause me to be slashed, which it's a test net. Do it for fun. I don't care, but it would just be interesting.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm clicking around here. All right. So we've done all of this stuff.
Yep.
Great. Here we are. And we're going to create secrets.
So we'll be using this file to store all the values we need to do the deposit, the key store generation, and the actual deposit transaction.
If you're new to Linux, number one, if you're doing this and you're new and you're not doing it remotely, you should install the Ubuntu desktop version and work from there. These aren't things that you're ever going to want to type in manually. When you do nano secrets, you can do Control-Shift-V to paste, and then Control-X and Y to save.
Yep.
Do we need to modify that? We do, don't
yes, we need to fill out 4 fields, which are described below.
Yep.
So the first one we have to fill out is the two mnemonic, which are going to be validators mnemonic and withdrawal mnemonic. You got to make sure to keep those double quotes before and after your value, which I believe is fine there. And then the other field we need to fill out is F1 from address, which is going to be your wallet address. That starts with 0x, right? And then the other field is F1 priv from priv, which is the private key. And you will have to add the 0x value in front of it.
That is super easy to forget in these.
Yep.
And you'll bang your head because it'll give you like invalid private key errors, and you're like, "Oh, it's there."
Yep.
But yeah. All right, is that it?
And that's pretty much it. Yep.
Okay, so we added 4 fields: validators mnemonic, withdrawals mnemonic, ETH1 from address, and ETH1 from private key.
Once you're done, you save your file. And then the next step will be to create a script that does everything for you using those values.
And that was Control-X and Y, by the way. And I think people who are this far already know that. But again, I just want to... oh, good, you even put it in there. Beautiful.
Yep.
So we're going to create DevNet deposits. And I wonder what happens. Let's try this.
Yeah, that should work.
Good, yeah. Gorgeous. And this does not need to be modified, does it? It's already set, right?
It's all set, yeah. So you save it, you make it executable, and then you run it. So you'll be prompted to answer this question. You just type yes.
Ooh, it's great. Oh, whoa, it's doing the deposit for you.
Yep, it does the deposit. It creates the deposit data file, and it creates your key store.
I did it janky style, and I ended up like copying together my own deposit JSON, but I worked it out. But this is great.
Yep, it does it pretty much all for you. And so in the response you got to that execution, you also could see your validator public key.
Yes, I'm curious. Do we know? I'm curious where that's stored right now.
So the deposit data is stored in /temp, TMP, but your key store files are stored in assigned data. So it's a file that should be called, so that's the directory where you'll have your key store data.
Awesome.
And in /temp, you'll get a file that's called, I believe it's called deposit data dot something dot text.
Gorgeous. All right, and so from here, we have a validator key, and I know this won't work, but we can take it to the Explorer.
Yep.
and paste it in, and it will say nothing, that it doesn't exist because it doesn't exist yet.
That's correct.
Another thing we can check is the ETH1 transaction.
Yep. There should be a link in the guide that will.
Oh,
direct
I'm
you
sorry.
there.
Did I get ahead of you? Because you probably have this all planned out. Great. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So yeah, if you click on that Transaction Explorer link, you'll be directed to the contract. The contract on the Kintsugi testnet, and then you could see that like 2 minutes ago. That should be your transaction there.
Let's see if that matches up with. That's 23A. Yeah, there we go. 23A. Yep. Great. How cool. If we click in the right place, we should also be able to get the validator index from that, right?
I don't think,
or not yet, because it doesn't have the validator index until
Yeah,
it's it just shows deposit. My apologies.
Right, so the next
okay.
step would be to configure your
I was like, we're done.
Lighthouse validator client.
It would be a bad idea to stop right now.
I mean, you would have a deposit, but no validator client.
Yeah, so that's what we should talk about. Like right now, we've installed Lighthouse as the consensus layer client. We used to call it ETH2, and we've installed Geth as the execution layer client, which we used to call ETH1. And we got Kintsugi ETH from the faucet, and we generated validator keys, and we made a deposit for that validator. But what we don't have yet is an actual validator client running. We have the beacon node running, but we don't have a validator client to basically be the bridge between the keys and the beacon chain. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm like, oh, we've already done that, right? It's because it's fresh on my head. So we're going to do that.
So the first few steps are pretty standards. Creating a new user, creating a directory to hold those data for the service, the validator client service, and then setting up the permissions. Now, this part, you'll find out about your key store password, right? So when we created the key store, there's a password that was created for you. We'll need that password when doing the import.
And I'm grabbing the public key that was just created, right?
Yep.
And so if you don't remember where that is, it was up in one of the earlier steps, the validator key, but remember it begins with OX.
Yeah. And you can also find out when you do the listing in that secrets directory. And so that's your password for the key store.
What did we just do?
Pardon me?
What I don't know what we just did. We just read. Oh, we just read. Okay, so we could have gone to that file.
Yeah.
Okay, and we could have read that. It's probably root. Oh yeah. Okay. You just did it a different way. Sure. Yeah. This is new to me. So we're taking note of the key store password. So I want to write that down. That's some kind of hash, is it not?
I guess it's some kind of random password that was generated.
There's something, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Did yours end in an equal sign? That's all I want to know.
Yes, mine also ended in the equal sign. Maybe it's some kind of base 64 encoded.
Yeah, that's what
value.
I was. So
the next step would be to import the key store for the validator client, right? So Lighthouse has this command to import your key store. And in that step, it's important to enter the correct password, which we just got. And so when you'll enter it, it won't show up. But if you enter the correct password, it will show the prompt password is correct.
And that is one of the most difficult things for someone who is new, when something doesn't echo to the screen.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's not like when you enter SSH password. They're like, it's not accepting it. And I'm like, yeah, just type it and press enter. They're like, no, it's not accepting it. Yeah. So, and that's, I guess, why the video becomes helpful, because you realize it's not being echoed.
Yeah.
I have had that conversation with a lot of people who are like, it's not taking my password. Yes, it is.
And so we're almost done with installing the Validator client. All we have to do left is create the service for it.
This is actually a good place to do graffiti.
Yes, if you want to have a custom graffiti there, you could include it in those flags. So you want to have yours to be like Lighthouse plus GIF and then Superphiz or something?
I'm going to double quote that to be safe. I think that's
yeah,
be okay
I believe
there.
it needs to be double quoted.
Because so to be honest, because I'm doing this publicly, and it doesn't hurt to have a slash test on this network, I'm going to welcome being slash. It's going to happen.
If no one does it, I'll make sure to slash you.
Thank you. That's an honor. Okay, so
challenge accepted as well.
Yeah, I just want to confirm. I copied and pasted Remy's notes, and I just added in a graffiti here, but I have a syntax error.
Oh, you need the
new lines have to end with a backslash. That tells the system that this command isn't done yet, and so good thing I checked it. It's fine. I do encourage other people to go ahead and insert your graffiti. Just make sure that you get a backslash in there. All right, so we're gonna.
And so those remaining commands are common. We used them previously, but they are simply to refresh the services definition and then start the service and check out to make sure that it's running properly.
It is running, and we're going to enable it now.
Yep.
Enabling just means when you reboot the machine, you want the service to start up. I love your CZCE or CCZE, by the way.
It's a tool I recently started using. I didn't know a few days ago about it.
Oh, really? Okay, good. Because it's brand new to me. You just taught me about it. So. Yeah. So it looks like we're going, the chains are already synced. The reason that we are awaiting activation is because we just made the deposit and we did verify that that deposit went through.
Yep.
We do have a public key that we checked, and it says it's not available yet, which is understandable. Sorry, I'm clicking tabs. I don't know what I'm doing. Click everything. Let me go ahead and try that one more time. What
and
you're going to want to do?
I believe the beacon node fork that the Kintsugi guys are using, the beacon chain fork, the beacon chain explorer that they're using, like it doesn't show the pending validators, right? And so you might need to wait a little before you can find out your validator from the public key there.
But this is what you would do. That's a block search. You would, when you're a few hours
in, the search thing on top.
It's funny. Like as much as I use Beacon Chain, I think that I knew what I was doing, but apparently I don't. And so this is not going to do anything for us right now. It's just going to be directions. Your validator will show up here, and then a few hours after that, it will actually be active. And I can actually.
Can you see the activation?
I haven't seen the activation queue. This is the validator that I set up yesterday, and it's running okay. You should not panic if you have, if you miss attestations or if you have low participation. It's because as a test net, there's nothing at stake. So it's no big deal for people to turn their node off, to even create keys and lose them. Now, we don't want anyone to do that. We want people to take this seriously. But some people maybe get halfway in the process and get stuck, or maybe they're using a virtual machine that they end up shutting down. Just don't worry if you see that you're not getting perfect asset attestations like you might on mainnet. All right.
And that's pretty much it. If you go back to the guide, I think we were at the end of the guide.
Yep.
And so if you want to keep helping people, there's a bunch of tasks that you could try and do. And if you click on that program structure link, you'll see that the Kintsugi guys have a lot of things that you can try and do and give feedbacks for.
Yeah, I love your guide. Thank you for making it so concise, because my goal is always to convey information to our community in a way that like 90% of people can figure it out. And I know that some people are going to have trouble getting started with Linux,
Yep.
or some people are going to have trouble with the command line. But I do feel like 90% of people could watch this video and copy and paste those instructions and get through it. So thank you for writing this so clearly.
Yeah, I'm glad
I
we
totally
can help
agree.
people.
And we
Great
really
job,
love you. Anyone can fork Remy's guide
Yep.
and switch out different clients, like give us a Besu Nimbus or something. That would be really helpful. And we'll even go through, if you want to join us, make a video, we'll do it by ourselves, just because it's really important that people get, number one, people get comfortable using different clients. And number two, that we test everything, not just being run by the implementation teams, but being run by the community as well.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, I'm going to shut this off. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks.
Of course, I don't know how to use this. There we go.